when Jenny and I were involved in youth exchange back in Midland, Michigan, we hosted 3 kids, one from Argentina, one from Brazil, and one from Paraguay. And they were incredible. They were absolutely brilliant kids. We learned so much from them. I think one of the things that we always talk about is what a tremendous experience it is for the kids, but it's just as beneficial for those who are hosting these kids. We learn so much, and you establish these relationships that literally go on for a lifetime. We are still friends with all 3 of those kids. We keep up with them. We keep up with their moms and their dads. They keep up with us. We celebrate each other's wins, and we're there to sympathize when there's losses in the family. So it establishes friendships and these familial relationships that go on for a lifetime. And I am so thankful for people like Karen who champion us and champion this district in helping to set up and foment these relationships that will go on to benefit not just Rotary, but humankind. So I am so grateful to Karen. She's passionate when we have interviews for the outbound students. She will bring in former exchange students. She'll bring in the parents. She'll bring in people who've had some affiliation with it. Jenny and I have had the pleasure of sitting in on a few of those. And it's just incredible to see the investment of time and energy and passion that goes into vetting these kids, making sure that these kids are going to be ready for what's coming up, because it's not easy. It is not an easy experience when you think about being away from your family for a year. So without any further ado, I just want to say, and we're really thrilled that the exchange program is back, because it's been sidelined for a couple of years, and we're just happy to have the program back. So without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Karen Steffens, who leads District 7680 in the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. Karen?
I will share.
I have to stand. You tell me where to stand. Just
Right
right here.
Yep, you can go ahead and start talking, sorry.
Okay.
You just ignore me, go ahead and start talking.
No.
Imagine I'm not here.
Okay. Thank you for having me today. And thank you for allowing me to bring my daughters. For me, Rotary has always been a family affair and a family event. That's me. Got it.
Hold that mic closer.
Oh, like this.
There you go, perfect.
Got it. Rotary for me is all about family. I have had so many friends say, oh, my dad's in Rotary, or my grandfather's in Rotary. Well, why aren't you in Rotary? So to me, I bring my kids to every Rotary event that I possibly can, and I encourage other people to do it as well. They've grown up in Rotary, they've grown up with youth exchange students. To me, it's about bringing family in and bringing the next generation in. So when people say, oh, my dad's in Rotary, I'm like, nope, you're going to be in Rotary. So thank you for allowing me to have them here today. My experience with Rotary and why I'm so passionate, as Kevin mentioned, so I was a Rotary exchange student 30 years ago, 1987, 1988. My father-in-law was the Rotarian who introduced me and my family into youth exchange. So it very much is a family arrangement. So he introduced me into youth exchange. He asked my family to host. They hosted 6 Rotary exchange students while I was growing up because they asked. They said, can you host another one? Sure. Can you host another one? Sure. And it just became part of my life growing up. And so I went to my parents and said, well, I absolutely want to do this. Sign me up. So I spent a year in what was West Germany at the time. This is before the wall came down. 88 was when, 89, I think it came down. So it was quite the experience. I got to go into East Germany, East Berlin. I got to go into communist Hungary at the time. The world was a very different place. The world is becoming a little bit of a different place. 5, 6, 8 years ago, we exchanged with Russia and Ukraine. We sent students to Russia and Ukraine. We had students from Russia and Ukraine here, and we will exchange with them again. There will be a time. And this program is essential for bridging that piece. It really is. It's letting the young people know, yes, there will be a time we get back into Russia and back into Ukraine, and we will have peace again. So I'm very passionate about the program. I lived it, and I just see the kids when we interview them on this end, and then who comes back, and the students who come here and who leaves. It's an incredible program. So starting first, the main page, the site, studyabroadscholarships.org. That is a website that was put together by the North American Youth Exchange Network, which is Canada, United States, and Mexico, all working together doing youth exchange. And so they have created this website because they wanted kids who wanted to Google study abroad, scholarship study abroad, to find Rotary. We are a scholarship program. If you look at AFS and some of these other programs, you have to pay $25,000, $30,000 a year to go on exchange. Rotary pays for the room, the board, the tuition, and they give a monthly allowance to the students. So the students are paying for their airfare, their spending money, insurance, and then a small Rotary fee. That's it. So it is a scholarship program, and we do tell students that that's what it is. They're eligible for a scholarship program. So that's the site, that's the landing page where kids can go to find out about the program. Parents can find out about the programs, and Rotarians can find out about the program. So I'm going to spend just a bit going through my piece here to talk about the impact of the program. But then I want to bring my daughter up, who can tell you about her experience and why she's going abroad. She has friends who say, "You're crazy. You're going to spend your senior year abroad. What about prom? What about senior year? What about XYZ?" She's going to tell you why she's doing it and why it's important to her. And what she's said to those kids who say, "You're crazy for doing that." How do you want me to go forward? Just enter. Scroll. Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Oh,
so-
got it.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. So Rotary does 10,000 exchanges per year. And that's our short-term program and our long-term program. And I'll get into that a little bit. 10,000 a year all over the globe. We exchange with between, in a normal year, 20 and 30 different countries. Right now, the list is a little shorter with COVID. There's some countries who just said, "We're not ready yet. We can't do it yet. We've lost too many Rotarians. We can't find host families. We're just not in a position where we can do this." And our primary priority is keeping these kids safe. So we have some countries that have fallen off. So 10,000 exchanges a year. That 10,000 number is important for you to remember. So impact. It's estimated that 6 Rotarians, minimum 6, engage with one exchange student throughout their year. And I'm going to venture a guess my daughter's going to meet more than 6 Rotarians. So if it's just 6 Rotarians, there's more than 6 in this room. That's 60,000 Rotarians per year who have an impact with this program. We also estimate 255 people, teachers, host families, friends, people in the community are impacted by one exchange student. 2.5 million people per year impacted by this program. It's that wonderful. It is that widespread. And it is just a great way to get rid of bias, get rid of stereotypes, all those things that we're trying to do even on the local community. So 2.5 million. Types of exchanges. So you all are familiar with Sophia, who's your outbound student. She's going on the long-term exchange like my daughter, Charlotte. So the long-term is a full academic year. They leave in August, they come home in July, and they don't come home in between. So can parents go visit? My husband's like, "When can we go? When can we go?" April,
air flight later.
right. April or May of their exchange year, we will allow parents to come here for the students we have here, and parents can go visit. But April or May, not before, because these kids are going to go through waves of homesickness. The holiday time is really tough on them. So yes, you can visit, but later in the exchange. But Charlotte will be, and Sophia will be in Italy from August until July and going to school. So it is a school exchange. It's a cultural exchange. So they may or may not get credit for high school. Some might come back and have to make up classes. Charlotte, my daughter, and Sophia graduated a year early so that they could spend their senior year abroad. We also have the short-term program. So that is a 3 to 4 week program. We run that in the summer. So for example, if Charlotte wanted to do the summer program, she would go to Switzerland for 3 or 4 weeks and live with a family. That family would have a daughter who would then come back and live with my family for 3 or 4 weeks. So that is a family to family exchange. There's no need to find host families. There's no school involved. It's in the summer. It's 3 to 4 weeks. So if students are a little nervous about the full year, there's that opportunity. Question? Yes. Yeah.
And what obviously the students don't have to speak the language of the country. So are they in some sort of expat school? Like what? How do they?
Karen, can you repeat that?
Yes. The question is whether or not they have to speak the language of their host country because they will be in school. it is fully expected that my daughter Charlotte will be speaking German because she's going to a German school. And Sophia will be speaking Italian at her Italian school. So it is not an English speaking school. So we have 6 exchange students coming into.
Oh, no, child.
She will be learning German very quickly.
Smile.
So we have 6 exchange students that will be in District 7680 starting in August. And they are coming from Hungary and Slovakia and Germany. And they will be in our English speaking schools. Some are at Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, some are in Union County schools. So they will learn our language just like our students will learn their host country language. Who are we looking for exchange students? Ages 15 to 18 and a half. So typically that's going to be sophomore, junior, seniors, and possibly gap year students if they are not older than 18 and a half before they leave.
Can you explain what a gap?
Yes, gap year is, I went my gap year. I graduated high school. I went before I started college. So I fully graduated. So Charlotte technically is graduating high school early and is going her gap year. So it's before you start college. Flexibility, maturity, huge components of who we're looking for. Kevin mentioned the district interviews that we do with these students. They are intense. We ask a lot of hard questions. We ask a lot of hard questions of the parents. Are you ready for this, mom and dad? How is this going to feel? What happens if grandma passes away while you're gone? How are you going to deal with that? Some really hard questions. Because this is not, I had one student come back one year and said, you said it was going to be really fun. That was not the most fun I've ever had. And I said, oh, don't get me wrong. This is not going to be the best, most fun year you're ever going to have. It's going to be the most challenging and it's going to change your life. But this is not, I'm going to go and have fun and run amok kind of year. And I tell kids, we're not looking for the extroverts, the ones that say, I'm the life of the party. Not at all. We want the mature, flexible, responsible students. Hosting and sponsorship. So that's where the Rotarians come into play. What do I need from Rotary? I need advocates for the program. I will tell you, Rotarians don't even know about this program. They might have heard of it, but they have no idea what this is about. So that's why I come and talk to clubs and I bring students with me to talk about this program so that you can help me develop the program. You all know families who have kids, grandkids, whatever that might be, and say, hey, do you know Rotary has a study abroad program? You need to look into this. So I need advocates. I need clubs to host and sponsor. So you all are sponsoring. I have clubs that sponsor and host. I have some that just host. Sponsor means you're sending out, but clubs to get involved. Volunteers. So I have people sometimes that come up to me and say, I would love to get involved in youth exchange. Come on, anytime, anywhere. Love the idea of bringing more people into the fold with regard to youth exchange. I can always use help on the district committee and families. We have Rotarians that say, I go to my club and I say, who wants to host our exchange student? And no one raises their hand. It's because Rotarians are notoriously busy. They don't probably have the time or capacity to do it. But everybody in this room knows 5 people they could call, like my father-in-law did to my parents, and say, would you want to host an exchange student? Might you be interested in this? We all know 5 people. And if everybody called 5 people, you would find the 3 families that are required for that long-term student. So this year in particular, I need families in the Myers Park School District. I need families in the Huff High School District, and I need families in the South Meck High School District. So if you know people, please make calls, ask them, or tell me to make the calls. I'm happy to do that as well. But a big part of this is finding good families. And the families don't have to be Rotarians. Most of the time they're not. They don't have to have kids. Charlotte might be with a family that has no kids or has little kids or has grown kids. None of that matters. They do go through our compliance process. There's a due diligence compliance process that they have to go through. Kevin, question?
Just a comment more than anything else. I wanted to say that the kids, yes, they need a place to stay. They need a place to live. But I will tell you, these kids are very much self-sufficient. They will develop their own groups. They will not rely on you as a host parent for their entertainment. They are fully capable of getting together with other kids and taking care of themselves. Now, yes, it will involve cooking dinner periodically, but for the most part, these kids are incredibly sufficient.
And they want to be independent. So they are teenagers. Yes. Are you going to have issues because they're teenagers? We do every year. They're teenagers. They're going to make silly decisions sometimes, and we're going to have to pull them back. That's what we do. But Kevin's right. They want to get out. They want to be involved. They come from schools where there's no sports and clubs, and they come here and they're like, I can do that at school. I can take pottery. Yeah. I can play baseball. Yeah. I can try out for this. They love it. Love it, love it, love it. So agreed. The host family is not here to babysit, and they are not a guest in these homes. They're not I'm just going to sleep in the bed and go do my thing. They're a family member. So when we host exchange students, they have responsibilities just like my girls do. Same thing. So there's a question. Oh,
Talk about 3 families. Do they stay with 3 different families during the year or one?
yes, the question was about the 3 families. So typically the Rotary model is for the long-term students to have 3 host families during the year. There are some programs like AFS that have 1 host family. And if it's a good family and a good match, that's great. If it's not, it makes for a very long year. So 3 families, 3.5 months at each family, which I think is the perfect amount of time to get to know a student, but then it's not super overwhelming for families. But it does put an onus on the hosting club to find 3 families.
They have to go to 3 schools?
No,
No,
the question was about school. They have to stay at the same school. So the school is constant. That's right. That's right. So when I say I need families in the Myers Park district, that's right. That's right. So the school is constant and the hosting Rotary Club is constant. Yes. Any other questions? Sponsoring a student going outbound. So Sophia, your club is sponsoring her. Thank you very much. And I know she thanks you. There is a $0 cost for a Rotary Club to sponsor an outbound student. Who pays for the cost of that? The families. So the Charlotte Rotary Club, the downtown club, which is my club, is sponsoring my daughter, Charlotte. They are not paying a penny for her to go on exchange. The parents assume that cost. So when you recruit students to go outbound, what a wonderful thing. You're giving them a scholarship opportunity and you're not having to pay anything for that. Hosting a student is about a $1,500 cost to host clubs. And that is mostly to cover that monthly allowance that we give them, which runs about $100 a month. So again, it's very cost effective to host and it's free to sponsor an outbound student. And that is the end of the formal presentation. Questions on any of this? I wanted to make this interactive and make sure you all understand and are educated about the youth exchange program.
Erin, as we're recruiting or looking for families that could possibly serve as host families, is there one particular place that we can point them to for additional information on what those responsibilities might look like?
So that study abroad scholarship website at the very beginning, that has a tab for host families as well.
Okay, great.
So studyabroadscholarships.org, there is a tab for host families. And then I have guides as well that we send as PDFs. And then we do, if they are interested, they have to fill out an application, reference checks, background checks, the orientation, there's online training videos, all of that. But that comes, we help them and guide them down that process. So know that what we have set up is a very turnkey operation. If Kate finds 3 families in the Myers Park School District, that's wonderful. I say thank you very much, and they fill out our online application and we're off to the races. It is very turnkey. We help them and guide them. So there is not a lot of work on the Rotarians' part other than being our advocate and helping us find students and host families. Yes.
I have a question, but Quanta has a, could you call on Quanta and then I'll.
Thank you very much. This is Quanta. Our club, Charlotte International, we've been sponsoring students in the past few years. One thing that I was going to ask is,
So my question
you-
is,
Wait. Oh, no, that was Kelly. Sorry. That was.
so my question. She's trying to talk though.
I'm kind of,
My question is about the 3 to 4 week summer one.
Yes.
So you actually have to send a child in order to host a child.
So the question was the summer exchange, that's the family to family exchange. So there are opportunities. I will tell you, there are more foreign students that want to do exchange than we have American students who want to go out on exchange. So your question is, could there possibly be a way to do a one-way exchange where we take a student for 3 to 4 weeks? Yes,
Okay.
because there are loads and loads of students who want to come here for 3 to 4 weeks, and we don't have the American counterpart to match.
I just don't think I could kick one of my kids out.
Don't kick your kids out. But I will tell you, the short-term program is a great entree into the long-term program. Once the kids do the short-term program, there's some interest in the long-term program. And if you all have any connections with an Interact club at a high school, great place to talk about this program. I will say the Interact students aren't necessarily the students who are looking to go abroad, but we have found more host families by Interact students saying, that sounds really neat. I want to host one of these students. So, question.
When you're selecting the family, and if they go through the orientation, how long does that take before you say they're ready to take a family or they're ready to take a child?
So some of that is dependent on the family. Some of it is dependent on other factors. They need 2 references. So they give reference names and emails. Sometimes I spend my time chasing those references down because the family can't take the student until they've been accepted fully, which includes those references, the background checks. So some of my time is chasing those open issues, but they cannot have a student in their home until they are fully vetted.
So how long does that vetting process take?
If we are moving and grooving and everybody is clicking along, that could be done in a week's time or less. Yeah.
For the children who are going to be going overseas or wherever, do they get to do preferences? Like, this is my first, second, and third preference.
Right. So the question was on country preferences, and this is a great time for me to bring up my daughter because she can tell you all about it.
Charlotte.
Jenny, can you check the chat?
Yeah, someone's.
And are we doing okay on time?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted Charlotte up here so you can ask her the questions similar to maybe her friends, like, why the heck are you spending a whole year in a foreign country and you don't speak the language? So I will let you stand here with the microphone
Okay.
and answer the question.
Charlotte,
Country preference.
answer, riddle me this, Batman.
Okay.
How did you get, did you get the country of your choice? And how did you tell them where you wanted to go?
Okay. Is that good? The mic? Okay. So I had applied 2.5 years ago to actually go on the short-term exchange program to the Czech Republic. And then shortly thereafter, the world shut down. So I have been wanting to do this program for a very long time. So that was my first choice of the program. Then during COVID, I applied to go to Switzerland for the full year. And that program unfortunately got shut down again. So this is my final attempt to do it. And I have no regrets. Right. I have no regrets. I would do it for years if I had to in order to do this program. So the choosing your country process was very fun. We exchanged with so many countries of different cultures. It's really incredible. So originally I had wanted to go to Croatia, but they had some reasons for not being able to exchange this year. So now I'm going to Switzerland, which, I would go anywhere in the world.
What part of Switzerland are you going to?
I do not know yet. I'm still waiting for the Rotary Club in Switzerland to give me that information. I've made contact with the general Rotary Club over there, but nothing regional in the area yet.
Just have a funny story to tell because I know a lot of people have anxiety about their kids going over far across the pond where no one speaks English.
Get this right back to you.
Okay.
They can't hear you, so just be quick. 'Cause
Okay.
Charlotte,
All right, I'll be very, very quick. The information I found, my son spent a year on the lawn program and he did it in Sweden. Looked out a word of Swedish. What we did, we were living in West Virginia then, and we even had a few neighbors who spoke English, so it was very helpful.
That's part of being an foreign country.
But what we did was after he graduated high school, he took a year off before going over. And we took that year and just did basically a conversational Swedish. We had a neighbor up the street. She met with him once a week. And it was not a big deal. But that little bit of time was fabulous. So if you do it, you have the chance between now and find out whether you're gonna end up speaking French or Italian or German or whatever.
A lot of options.
You'll feel so much more comfortable if you get the chance just to get a basic conversation. The funny part was the day he came back, he'd been there a year. My wife and I had gone over to meet his Swedish parents. He came in and he just wanted to see how the story. It worked for me before he went overseas. And then I had one of my favorite customers come into the store while and Steve came in, and he was back there working, doing work the day after. It was amazing. And I don't know what devil made me do it, I guess. I told this woman, she said, well, how was your trip? Oh, it was wonderful. I said, in fact, see that kid back there, Sheldon Morris? I said, he's the Swedish kid, which was my son, of course. So she walked back there and she said to him, Swedish. And she came back up. She said, he's Swedish. Wonderful. He's from Skarna, isn't he? Well, he didn't even know where Skarna was, but it was in the general area of Sweden where he went to school for that year. That's how well they come back. If they pay attention. They really learn the language well and the culture well, and they blast.
I guess the dialect as well, so like being like Canadian, eh?
Right, right.
I do have a question from Quanta that could probably go either way.
Okay.
Do the students and host family have several virtual meetings to get acquainted beyond interview before making the final decision?
So the final decision as in if they want to host an exchange student or?
I would go with the first.
They
one
are a
that,
good fit.
that you already made the decision, so it doesn't,
Mhm.
you don't know your family, so you can repeat that because I don't.
Just about, do you get to know each other prior to your.
Before going. So most of the time, in most cases, you do get to know your host family. They either connect with you through email or some form of social media. I know some exchange students have connected with a family member on Facebook, which is amazing. But it could be an email or it could be some sort of social media tag that you get. But yes, you do connect with your host family before going over there.
So it sounds like, and you, I don't know,
I
if
think,
you
yeah.
jump in here,
Mhm.
just.
About it being a
she
good fit.
qualified for question.
Yes, so
Yeah.
Quanta asked, do the students and host family meet kind of virtually or ahead of time to make sure it's a good fit? And I would say, I don't want it to be a good fit. I want it to be uncomfortable. So no, there is no, Charlotte will get to know her host family, but they're going to say, hi, we're your first host family. How are you? And she's going to say, wonderful. I'm so excited to meet you. Now, will they have reviewed her application? Yes. And if there is something glaring on there that makes them not want to host her, they can back off at that point. But we're not trying to match students with families. We are trying to give people cultural experiences, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So there is not a matching program of student and family. Kevin.
I was just gonna say, I was telling John, I said, when we first met our exchange student, it was at the airport.
Right.
That-
Yes.
We
Yes.
have virtual method.
That's
Yeah.
right. No, and when I went 30 years ago, I had no idea who my first host family was. They were at the airport and they had a sign that said, hey, Karen, it's us. And that was it. So, yes. Good.
Karen, I have a question for you. In terms of the outbound students, how available is this for students who are coming from families with economic challenges?
Yes. So the question was outbound students and economic challenges. Again, the cost compared to other programs is very affordable. It will run about $5,000 to $6,000 for me to send Charlotte on Rotary Youth Exchange. And that's about the average cost for outbound students
For an entire year.
for an entire year.
I mean, it's cheaper than having them actually in. the
I think it
country.
probably will be
Yeah.
cheaper to have her abroad than have her
But
home.
still,
Yes.
$5,000 or $6,000 a year for some families.
Correct.
is not-
That's exactly right. So I have interviewed some fantastic students and I've said, we're going to make this happen. So I get on the phone and I call Rotarians and say, we need to make this happen. What can your club do? And I have had clubs pay the full $5,000 and $6,000 for students. I've had some clubs say, we'll do half as long as the student raises their own half. That's perfect too. But when I come across students in need, Absolutely. We're going to try and make it happen. I would love, and I think we've talked about this, trying to get a scholarship available at the district level. I work for Bank of America, and every year, if I put in X amount of hours of volunteerism, they will donate to the charity of my choice, up to $500. I want that to go to a 7680 outbound scholarship fund. So when we come across these students, we just say, we got you covered. We're going to make this happen.
When I was in Midland, Michigan, we had, our club had a golf tournament every year, and the sole purpose of that golf tournament was to raise funds to help sponsor outbound students who couldn't afford it. And we would typically raise $25,000 every time we had a golf out.
And if the cost is $5,000 to $6,000 a year, that covers plenty of students. We had a student from West Meck High School come to an interview, and she just blew us away. And her mom said after the interview, I can't do this. I'm a CMS school bus driver. This is not going to happen. And I said, no, this is going to happen. And then she got into Chapel Hill on a free ride because of Rotary Youth Exchange. So it can happen, and it does happen. We just have to be willing, again, to pick up that phone and find host families, find Rotarians, find clubs, make these wheels turn. Good. Any other questions? Any for Charlotte?
At the beginning, what did you say to your friends who said you're gonna miss
I'll let
prom?
you stand over here. What you're gonna miss?
So for me, I have never.
Charlie, can you repeat the question?
Yes, so the question was, what did I say to the people who told me that I was absolutely crazy for wanting to go on exchange? And I've had many people ask me that, especially my close friends. And I say, well, maybe you just need to have a little bit more perspective of the world and what it can do for you, because the world does so much for us as people. And now it's our time to go and change it for ourselves. So it's an addition to perspective is what I tell them that they need to gain. Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
I'll ask you one. What is the one trait or thing or, whatever it is that you hope to come back with change? Like, how do you want, what's the one thing you want to actually learn, build, it could be anything. But.
Yeah, I would probably say adaptability. I think we all have developed a fair amount of it after COVID. Everybody has been able to be very flexible with schedules and everything changing all the time. But I think not knowing what the day holds, who you're going to meet, or basically anything about your life for a full year is going to change me as a person. And I really look forward to that. Yeah.
What are you most concerned about?
So the question was, what am I most concerned about? And I would probably say being able to communicate and make friends in German. I think that's going to be incredibly difficult, but it is a chance for me to challenge myself outside of school. It is a chance to really get outside of my comfort zone, which is where you grow the most as a person. So
Charlotte, one of the things that I know that you're discouraged from doing as you're growing out of your comfort zone is contacting your parents or relatives for a certain amount of time. Can you explain to everyone what that period of time is?
Yes. So there is a 30-day blackout period at the beginning of your exchange where you are unable to contact your parents. I'm not including any emergent needs or concerns. So you basically are just left to immerse yourself fully in your family, in the people around you, in your town, and the culture, and figure stuff out on your own for a little bit. So that's the amount of time that you have to do that. And then they are unable to visit you for 6 months, which I'm okay with. No, I'm kidding. I love my parents. I really do. But I think it will be very beneficial for me to be able to separate from them and having somebody to contact in any need and figuring out on my own and solving my own problems with my family.
I mean, I can understand, not contacting the blackout period, but like in this day and age of technology, it's very easy just to text your parents on your cell phone. So like
Yeah.
that was clearly like an older rule for technology. So how do you keep kids from texting?
So it's, should I go up there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Get my steps in, right? Says my Fitbit. So the question was the 30-day blackout and technology and all of that. So we tell the students, it's on the honor system, but I certainly don't want to hear from your mom that you've been talking to her every week, or see you having communications on Facebook with your friends back here. So it's not just parents, it's friends, everybody. It's a 30-day, I will post on my blog, put pictures, whatever, but it's that stopping of the back and forth and the communication. Because when you're doing this and you're on the computer and you're spending hours on Facebook, what are you not doing? Immersing yourself in the culture. And that's why you're there. And I want these kids, and I remind them all the time, you're there for a reason. Do not shortchange yourself. Do not disrupt your own exchange because you're busy on your phone or on Facebook. So it's on the honor system though.
Is that true for the host parents to the real parents? Do they communicate?
Absolutely. Host parent to real parent is fine. Although I would caution the parents sending students to constantly be saying, how's she doing? How's she doing? How's she doing? So that's right. What did she eat for dinner? Yeah, no. And the parents on the other side don't want that. They want to know that she can kind of do her own thing. Question, Kevin.
Jerry, I just wanted you to talk a little bit about how you do the reveal. The kids find out where they're going, because I think that's one of the neatest experiences in the world. So,
Do you want to tell them? Why don't you
Sure,
talk about it?
yeah.
I'll let Charlotte tell you.
awesome.
We're wrapping in about 5 minutes. So
All right,
if you
all right.
wanna, 2 or 3.
Yeah. So when we had a reveal party with a bunch of the kids that are going outbound who lived near us or around us, or maybe not near us or around us, but the kids in our district that are going on outbound exchange. And we all got together in a clubhouse or event space, and we had balloons that had like a globe on them. And inside the balloon was a little slip of paper that had the flag of the country that we were going to. So yes, exactly like the gender reveal. Yeah.
Little flag, no bang.
Yeah. So it was super fun. We all got in the front and each person went one by one and popped their balloon with a little pin and found out the country they were going to. So it was thoroughly exciting, and I loved being with all the other students and just connecting. Let's see.
We have 7 going out.
Okay, so 7. Mhm.
And so you've already met Sophia, our.
I
exchange
have. I
student?
actually went to middle school with Sophia, and
Oh,
she is incredible. Incredible.
Cool, very
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we need to take a Rotary trip. Which one?
Charlotte, I just want to say, as you've heard, we were very involved in Midland with the youth exchange. And you are one of the very few students that I have seen prior to their visit to another country who is so comfortable talking in front of people.
Oh,
So
thank you.
You're well on your way to do.
Wonder where she gets that
Thank you.
from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
you're going to be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you all and speak with you all about the program.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank
Really appreciate it. I'm like trying to figure out how I can help and convince my husband. That's probably the biggest thing.
Well, they do a pretty good job of that when they're questioning.
Anybody online have any last questions before we wrap up? I know there's a lot going on in the chat here, but I don't.
No, it's just.
Okay, we're good. All right, excellent. Well, if you have anything, speak now or forever hold your peace. And with that said, we are going to do our 5-way test. And let's wrap this and then we'll do the wrap.
Okay, you want to pass the buckets up to?
Yeah, and you guys can pass the buckets up, but let's go ahead and do a 5-way test. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, would it be fun? Ding, ding, ding. So everybody online, we hope you guys have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and we will see you hopefully next week. So have a great one.